Welcome to Dravovane. We deal with all things horror, from telling true horror stories and the backstories that they do not want you to know.
We just wrapped up a video here, and I got Sebastian here, and I'm going to might throw Sebastian off a little bit, but there's something I've been meaning to ask you for quite a while now. I've heard something about this old couple near Maddie's place or something, had an apple orchard and some fence all around the apple orchard. Is that raising a bit? What?
Where'd you hear this from?
Well, even though I do have hearing loss, but I do pick up on things. I'm not excellent at lip reading, but, I can pick up on things. I've seen Jeremiah, maybe Richie, but a couple of your buddies. I've heard this mentioned a few times, something about this old couple near Maddie's. I know I'm throwing you off here because we finished one video, but, while we're on the mic, I was like, I gotta ask you.
Oh, God. Oh.
Now, if you don't want us to record this, we'll stop recording.
No, we'll do this. I never thought that this old couple would even be mentioned, but, I don't know where to go with this. For 2 decades, maybe a little bit more, we all hunted the Maddie's logging property. The story. People don't know about the area, the land that me and Jeremiah had our encounter with that Monday and Tuesday. Richie and my son Ethan got chased off. The deer were following them. This is the area. Think of it as a horseshoe. So every time we leave this, I won't say the town in West Virginia that leads up through the coal companies, through this road up to Maddie's property.
Now, you don't even know if this apple orchard, this is several years ago, so you don't even know if this apple orchard's still there.
Oh, it's still there. It's still there. I just don't know if old couple's still alive or not. When I say old couple, think of a couple in their 80s or 90s. I know he fought in the Korean War. I don't know if he fought in the World War II. I think he might have towards the end of it. I don't know, but I do know that he fought in the Korean War. But think of a old couple. I don't even know if she's even 5 foot. She's real small and tiny, but a great character. He's your typical older guy, kind of like Al Bundy, but not rude. He's just set in his ways. Real nice couple.
Was he by any chance like an Uncle Jesse type from Dukes of Hazzard?
He's more of a statue of Lurch that is more of, I don't know. He's just set in his ways.
Or is he like Jed from the Beverly Hillbillies?
Yes. Yeah, the grandpa, the old man.
Is that his name, yes. Jeb?
Yes, he's like
the
him.
older guy, the dad, I guess it was.
But more, think of Lurch's stature.
Okay, there you go.
With the old lady of you just mentioned.
Oh, Granny?
Granny.
From Beverly Hillbillies?
Yeah. All right. We're talking like the size. She's like real tiny. He's really tall.
Right.
So every time we leave a certain town off the main road and go on, it's not a dirt road, but it's not a paved road, but it's not a dirt road that would get muddy per se, and would lead up through coal mine, companies to Maddie's logging road that lead to other counties. And there'd be a few houses there. And it was like, when you're coming up the road, their house would be on the left. All right? And I'll just tell you the counties. I won't tell you the town. The counties are Greenbrier County and Nicholas County in West Virginia. All right? We would take a left at a certain town. Go up this road. And this is the week of Thanksgiving. They'd already had their Christmas decorations out. And Jeremiah's the first one that noticed this. He's like, man, those are awfully high fences surrounding that apple orchard. And when I say high fences, for any of those people that drive down the interstate and you see the fence that separates either public or private land from the interstate land, those fences that weren't chain link fences, but they were like metal fences that had the square, then on the top they had that single strand of barbed wire. I don't know what you call them. Well, picture that, but 8 feet tall, with 3 lines or strands of barbed wire. Not the circular barbed wire, but the barbed wire separates federal highways or state highways from private property or federal property. You know what I'm talking about? Public land.
So would it be similar to that what you see in around the prison?
No, no, no. Those are chain link fence with the circular barbed wire razor star. This is stuff if you're driving down Interstate 64, 75, 71, 65, and that, you know, you see like the farm lane, you see the fence line, the metal fence. They're not the chain link that people have in their backyards, but the square. So basically, the fence is what you see on the side of the interstates that separates public or private property from state.
With barbed wire on the top.
But you think of that as 8 feet high.
Right.
With the spiky barbed wire, not the spiral barbed wire that you see in prisons, but the stuff you see that farmers want to keep their cows in and out with the. Right. But think of that as double reinforced, 8 feet high, and 3 layers of the spiky barbed wire at the top, surrounding a pie-shaped apple orchard across the street from them.
Pie shape, so it was apple pie?
I bet you they wish it was apple pie.
So they're obviously keeping something very big from coming in to the orchard.
Well, that's what it is, but when you're first looking at it, driving up, because when you crest this mountain or this ridge, and their house is on the left, there's like, you're coming up one road, there's 5 other roads, and there's, to the right, there's a road that kind of angles down the mountain, which is the pie shape of this apple orchard. We're coming up on the left side of it, and then the next road angles down the right side of it, which is on the other side of the apple orchard. Then if you look to your immediate right at, say, your 2, 3 o'clock, you have this cement brick building. It looks like a firehouse, but it's a shop where the loggers would do stuff, but it's completely vacant. And you have this one house, and you have total of 5 other roads. Not the road that you're on, that would be the 6th road, but you have these other 5 points, roads that are leading to throughout the county or through other properties or to other counties. So, and this one house would be sitting there, and Jeremiah noticed the fence, first of all, on top of this berm. It's like, that's an awfully high fence to keep people out from the apple orchard. And when we always hunted on Maddie's property, he always said, the apple orchard goes to the part of the property that we're allowed to hunt, but he said, don't hunt the apple orchard. Don't even walk foot on the apple orchard. We never questioned him why. We always knew that deer would be there because deer like apples, but he never told us the reason why. Just don't even bother going to the apple orchard. And after seeing this fence, we realized, okay, maybe the apple orchard's for the couple that, is across the street from it, that maybe they, use the apples, whatnot. Later we find out that these Bigfoots love the apple orchard. And when, sorry, I was going to say my name. When Jeremiah would look at this people's house, though we're like the weekend before Thanksgiving, because we'd always go up Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the week before Thanksgiving. The season would come in Monday of West Virginia. Then Thursday would be Thanksgiving. We'd always go up there and scout around and shoot the shit with the guys and relatives and friends and whatnot. They'd always have their Christmas decorations up. And Jeremiah would always look at it and was like, that's odd. That's weird places to put Christmas decorations. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he would be like, when we fought the Taliban and Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan, we'd had floodlights on our perimeters. they'd have their decorations on their perimeters. And more you look at it, it's like, you know what? That makes sense. Why would they have Christmas decorations on the perimeter of their property, not like in the front yard or on their house? It would be on the perimeter of their property. So take the manger or Mary or Santa Claus or Frosty the Snowman or Rudolph, whatever Christmas theme. It'd be on the perimeter of their whole property. If it's the side of their house, the driveway side of their house, the back of their house, behind the garage of their house, or if it's in the front property of their house, it would be like a perimeter. It would light up to keep eye of stuff around. And then he would point out they would have cameras. And we'd look, and it's like, sure enough, they would have cameras. And Jeremiah, the badass that he is, would tell you, these cameras are way too expensive for what these people want it for. Are they growing pot up here? What are they doing? And one day we actually stopped by to speak to these people. We actually saw the old lady out on the front porch one day. It was mid-afternoon, and it was, we were going back to town to get some Hardee's. It was probably 11 o'clock noon, and she just happened to be on the front porch. And we stopped and talked to her. And boy, did it blow our mind.
And you said something about the whole setup. Didn't Maddie help them out with the setup? The fence, the cameras?
Oh yeah, Maddie, they were having Bigfoot experiences from back in the 50s.
And also, I don't think you mentioned it yet. You might have, wasn't your buddy Z?
Yeah, for those who don't know, we had a buddy of ours who's a Creole. He's from Louisiana. He's black. He's a Creole. Cajuns are white, Creoles are black. And he likes to hunt with us. He's a chef. He's a cook. He hunts with us. And he was up there with us that year. His first and only time hunting with us. Because he had his Bigfoot encounter up there that scared the living ever shit out of him. And he's like, I'm never going back to West Virginia again. Not even white water rafting on the New River. Golly. Forget it. I'm done. I'll stay in Kentucky or I'll go back to Louisiana, but I'm never going to West Virginia again. And he's told his story to us, and he doesn't know if he wants us to tell his story, but of what happened to him up there. But he was with us when we introduced ourselves to this old couple, and they refer to us as the City Boys. You the boys from Kentucky, from Louisville? Yes, ma'am. You know, we're from, Louisville. You all city slickers, city people. Yes, ma'am. She goes, we weren't too fond of that. We knew that you all were hunting on Matthew's property. She always calls him Matthew. We refer to him as Matty. She either refers to him as Matthew or McMasters, which neither one is his real name.
Right, yeah. Like we've already said, we don't use real names here.
But she refers to him as Matthew. We call him Matty. And she's like, we weren't too fond that he was renting this property out, allowing his city friends to hunt on this. But you all have been real kind to us and all this, that whatever you all have killed, you've given to us. And we appreciate that. And we realize that you are God-fearing people. We like you all. And that, you can come talk to us anytime. So Jeremiah started off the conversation of what's the deal with the high fence here, double reinforced. And she, without even a hesitation, said, oh, it's to keep them things out. And Z, who's our black Creole from Louisiana, is with us, and he's kind of like, he's acting awkward, but he hasn't said anything yet. And you got to realize we're in the mountains of West Virginia, where there's a lot of white people. You don't see minorities. You don't see Hispanics or Latinos, Asians or black people. It's predominantly white. So he's not saying anything. He's really respectful and all this and that. And she's like, keep them out. And Jeremiah's like, keep what out? She goes, those big hairy things walking around. And like looking around, and Z's kind of like got this puzzled look on his face, like, what the hell are you talking about? But he's not disrespectful. So we hear the husband come down the driveway. And it's like, honey, who you talking to? Oh, these are city boys that's hunting on Matthew's property? Yeah, come introduce yourself, honey. So we meet him. I've never seen a big tall guy. And so Z leans over to me and she goes, "Is that the big tall hairy guy she's referring to? Because this guy's pretty tall. You know how we mentioned Lurch. I think this guy, honestly, is every bit of maybe 6'11", 7 foot. I mean, this guy's tall." So he introduces himself to us, and we're talking for an hour. You know, he fought in the Korean War. I want to say he fought in maybe the ending of the World War II, all this, that. And Jeremiah and him strike up a conversation, and they walk down to the garage. So me, Z, and Logan was there talking to the old lady, and she's giving us a tour of the house and the property. And Logan is our sheriff buddy, for those who don't know, and he's like looking around. And I lean over to him, and she's now talking to Z, and they're exchanging recipes because he's a Creole, he's a chef, he knows how to cook. I don't know Cajun slash Creole cuisine. I can't speak. Sorry, I got tongue twisted. Jambalaya, and what's the other Cajun thing? Jambalaya, gumbo. She's talking about jambalaya and gumbo, and he's giving her, his personal recipes. And Logan leans over to me and goes, "There's something really weird here." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Like, there's a lot of cameras pointing away from the house, and there's cameras on the perimeter of the property pointing towards the house. And it's just like, there's something going on here. Something really weird. I don't know what's going on." So, I'm like, "Okay, we'll find out." And, we go walking over to where Jeremiah is with the husband. And we can't walk into the garage because there's a walkway from the back door from the patio to the garage that's like iron. I don't know what you call them, but it's like an iron archway, like rebar iron archway where people like to put their vines and vineyards on. But it's like a tunnel of them that leads to the back porch, the back door, the back deck to the garage. It's like a tunnel. You can't get in. It's reinforced with other wire. And the only way you can get in there is if you go into the house. And then we're looking at the front house, and I realized they got pulley metal things that you see that shops will have in like New York to prevent riots from looters from looting. It's like you got your front window and you got that screen they pull down, that metal screen. And that's really kind of weird. Logan noticed that. And the same thing in the garage. We can't get in the garage because there's one of those things sliding down. And we're like, what the hell's going on? Because we had to walk around the back of the garage to the right side to the front of the garage. And we couldn't get in. The guy's, "Well, let me open it for you." So he bent down and raised it up. And we walked in and he raised it back down. And we're like, "That's awful weird." And Jeremiah's just like looking at us like, "Don't worry about it. I've already asked." Long story short. All right, because we're on time here. These people have been having problems with Bigfoots for 4, 5, 6, 7 decades. This is their house they bought after he got out of the Korean War, and they've been there since then. When their kids went off to college, they went off never to return. Their grandchildren won't even come there because of these Bigfoots. They have to go either at Christmas or Thanksgiving to go visit their grandchildren or their daughters and sons. That when this guy works out in the garage, he pulls that thing down because these things walk around constantly. They'll walk even in the garage. They got it on video. They showed us videos of these surveillance cameras that Maddie paid for them. And Maddie did all this security. He got these cages for him, everything. I mean, on their back deck, they have these cage things that set up that they pull down because these things just wander around on their property.
So you're one of the few people that got to actually see this video? They haven't made this video public, have they?
Oh, they refuse to. They don't want the publicity.
So that's why you're not saying the counties or anything where it is.
I said the counties. I won't say the town. I won't say the area because these people do not want the publicity. These people, if you talk to there's two major towns, not major towns, but big towns, but not big at what we perceive them to be. But for that area, it's like the population is maybe like 100 plus. But there's two towns, both start with an R. We'll just say that. That these people are credible, are prominent people in the town. Some people are like, oh, they're good people. Other people are like, they're kind of kooky people. And kooky in the sense, why? Oh, they think there's Bigfoots roaming around up there.
Seems like Jeremiah mentioned, again, I don't have good hearing, so I'm not sure, but didn't G at first think the old lady was talking about keeping black people out?
Yeah, all right. So we're not racist, all right? So people don't freak out. YouTube, don't censor us. Z's black, we're white. But when she's talking about to keep them out and all this and that, Z really thought she was referring to black people. But when she mentioned all these tall, 9-foot hairy things, Z kind of looked at us and she's like, darling, you think I was referring to black people? She's like, oh, God, no, darling. Heck no. We're God-fearing people. We're all created equal in the eyes of God. She goes, we all are related. If you believe in Adam and Eve, we're all related. Which I do believe we're all related. But Z was like, oh, I thought you were referring to black people. Because Z was kind of like, the story, it's funny. Z's like, I can understand my kind. She's like, what do you mean? Are you related to those 9-foot hairy people? And he's like, what? She goes, what are you talking about, darling? He goes, I thought you were talking about black people. She goes, oh no, sweetheart, we're all related. We're all created equal in the eyes of God. I'm talking about these 9-foot hairy things that like to poke and prod around, nosy. And the story she told one day, it blew our mind. And it was when apple trees are coming ripe. I don't know if they come ripe in the fall or the late summer. I don't know. But she's on the front porch and she had her little cages down. And she's drinking either, I don't know if it's sweet tea or lemonade. She's just sitting on her front porch looking at apple orchards. She's calling for her husband. Honey, you got to come look at this. You won't believe me. And we saw it on camera because their camera shows it. And you can hear, and it's all these cameras that Maddie's paid for. You can hear the audio, you can see the visual, and it backed her story up because they've got a lot of collection of videos. And sure enough, you can hear her seeing, and it validates her story. She's like, honey, Cameron, look at this. They're carrying off an apple tree. And sure enough, when they showed the video, you can hear her, and you look at it, this thing has got this fucking apple tree on its right shoulder, carrying it like a logger carries a chainsaw or a lumberjack carrying wood. This thing's got this fucking apple tree on its right shoulder, walking, and when he hears her saying that, it stops, turns, and looks right at her. And I swear to God, I'm not making this up. It's like it nodded its head, like waving, but it didn't wave. It just nodded its head, turned around, walked, and stepped over the normal fencing that you would see on the interstates. It just took its left leg, stepped over, took its right leg, didn't break stride, carrying this uprooted, like it pulled this fucking apple tree out of the ground, put it on its shoulder, because the root ball of it was behind it, and the front of it had the apples, and that's kind of odd. And the reason why is later on, when you watch the video, it was knocking the apples off, and smaller ones of these things was grabbing the apples. She goes, oh yeah, those are the babies. And we're like, what makes you think they're the babies? She goes, because they're a lot smaller than the bigger ones. And they're always running around, jumping around the apple orchards. And they're kind enough to knock them down for me. So when I go out and I'll pick the apples, I'm like, you go over there and pick the apples? Yeah, let me show you where I go. And we're like, no, we'll take your word for it. And when she tells you this, you think she's senile, but she's mentally there. She is not crazy. She's mentally there. She's got the fucking videotapes to back this up. And it's like, why don't you show like the Finding Bigfoot people or Dr. Jeff Meldrum, all these people? She's like, I don't want the publicity. I don't want the news media here. I just want to be left alone. And they do have neighbors that are wanting to move out. Maddie's buying them out and giving that property to this old couple. But the thing about it is, for a person like Jeremiah that doesn't believe in the existence of these things, he sees it on video, he's not shocked. And me and Logan have discussed this, and Z have discussed this in the sense of there's more that he knows that he's not letting us know. And when you ask Richie, Richie gets really quiet about it. And I think Richie knows something he's not letting us know that he knows about what Jeremiah knows. But Jeremiah was walking around the perimeter of the Christmas lights, and he comes back and goes, man, there's something big and heavy creating a path around the perimeter of their property. And I saw it. And you think it would have hurt a deer, but it's not deer. And this guy in his garage has these plaster casts. He'll go out daily and take plaster casts and all, like most guys with garages. And this is not a typical garage. Maddie built this garage for him. It's more like a warehouse shop of aluminum, the ones you see. And this is like a 3, 4, 5, 6 car. You can hold a lot of stuff. All on the walls are plaster casts that he takes. And you're looking at them, and it's hundreds of them. And it's just like, holy shit. And I was like, how many do you think there are here? And I asked the lady, because the guy really doesn't like to talk, but him and Jeremiah are really close. And she'll talk to you, and she's like, well, we've seen 6 out there, but we hear others around, walking around our perimeter. She goes, I'm thinking there's at least 20, maybe 30 that roam this area. And we're like, oh my God. And she goes, yeah, and all those deer that you give us, because we like you all those deer we give us, she grabs me on my hand or my arm. She's like, sweetheart, let me tell you that we give these to them. I'm like, what do you mean them? She goes, all that deer you give us, because some of y'all like to hunt for antlers, so when you cut the necks off and you give us the deer, we just leave it out in the back. You see our picnic table in the back left corner? And we're looking at it like, yeah. She goes, yeah, we leave them there. And sometimes they'll leave us piles of apples, so I don't have to go over there and grab the apples. I'm like, good God. It's like she's a damn Bigfoot whisperer or something. Like, was it Richie says the Bigfoot whisperer in one video? Yeah, she's like the Bigfoot whisperer. It's just like, yeah. But we sit there and watch these videos, and you can sure enough see, and they're good videos. Jeremiah can tell you the system, but Maddie bought the cameras, and you look at it, it's crisp. You see all these shows with these bullshit videos, like, what is that? There's no denying what you're seeing. And when you see the size of it, when these things are like almost topping the apple trees, and we're not talking big apple trees. We're talking apple trees maybe like 10, 12 foot high. And these things are probably 3/4 the length of it. So you're like, wow. And the massive, it's like, and we saw the video of these younger ones, what she says younger, the smaller. I'm 6'3". They're my height or taller.
And those are the young ones.
And those are the young ones. And it's like, good God. But they're very credible people in the I won't say neighborhood, but in the community. But some people call them kooks. But we've seen the plaster casts. We've seen the videos. We've seen signs and stuff. We've heard recordings of them knocking the whoops. And we've even heard them. She's like, I thought it was kids out, and realized that our neighbors behind us moved out. And Maddie bought us the property and gave it to us. He signed us over the lease, and we hear blah, 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 blah. And like we thought it was kids, and we realized our neighbors moved. And we realized that's them communicating. It sounds like kids. I'm like, wow. And I'm sitting there thinking like, and it's freaked out Z. Z's like, I don't know if I want to go hunting. But Z went hunting, and when we came back that Monday to meet, and this is a different year, he's like, please take me to Charleston, get me on a plane, and send me back home. Something happened to him out there that morning. It scared the shit out of him. He's never been back since.
Do you know that story? Is that a future story?
I know the story. Z is not a liar. He's like Jeremiah. Z is a Creole that is very, very religious. As religious as you are.
Oh, that bad?
No, that's a good thing. That's what we're missing today. But he's very, very religious. Yeah, he had an experience. It's a good story. I do believe it. It's kind of a mixture between mine and Jeremiah's story and Richie's story, not of getting ran out, but the Richie story of rocks being thrown out.
Yeah, that'll have to be for a future video.
But I won't say it unless he gives me.
So you might not hear the story.
But yeah, I don't know if that old couple's still alive because we haven't been there since when we got our tree stands out and found them all mangled. That was the last time we saw them. They waved at us on the porch. We told them we're not going to be back anymore. And that was it. And that was 3-4 years ago. So I don't know if they're alive or not. I'll have to find out from Maddie.
So before we close it out, should we do another shout out? We did it in the last video, but
yeah, I'm gonna give that shout out. I'm gonna give a shout out to the same group we did in the last video because I don't know which video is going out first. But like we always say here on Dravo Vein, fact or fiction, truth or lies, you decide. But again, I'm gonna give a shout out to the Bell Life and Houston Jones. YouTube likes to censor them. They're good people. The videos that they're being censored on, I think are BS. There's nothing wrong with those videos. And if you've made it this far, please go check out the Bell Life vlog, and Houston Jones. And like, share, and subscribe their videos because they are great at what they do. I'd like to give a shout out to Trey, Dum Dum, Amy, and Puker. And we'll even throw out a shout out to Double D. Let's go for Triple D. And a shout out to Adrian. So go watch the Bell Life and go watch Houston Jones.
Don't the Bell Life do like humorous antics of some sort?
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, yeah. They do some entertaining stuff. More entertaining than we'll ever be.
Right, because they're funny.
Oh, they're hilarious. But they do a lot of pranks, a lot of food, drinking challenges, all this and that. So go check out Trey, Dum Dum, Amy, Puker, Adrian, and Triple D. He's not Double D anymore. He's Triple D. Watch the videos and you'll know what we're talking about.
So after one of our stories, if it scares you too much, go check out Bell Life to get a laugh and maybe it'll freak, so that way you won't have a nightmare.
Yeah, they're good Kentucky people. We're all from Kentucky. And go Big Blue.
Till next time. And please like, subscribe, and share. We want the subscribers. We want to tell you more stories.
See you next time on Dravo Vein.